pass it over to Beth for a little bit, and we'll talk to you guys shortly. Beth, if you're ready, all yours.
I am indeed, sir. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to those of you joining us live YouTube stream here. So we do every morning, as long as the market's open. We are here to share. Obviously, CPI has been weighing over this market. I'm not exactly, I'm not as well, we'll see what happens. I don't know what the narrative is on this one, to be honest with you. I guess if it's really, really hot, I'll be honest with you, the thing that troubled me the most yesterday was the productivity numbers. And I've told you multiple times that the key way to offset inflation is productivity, right? That's one of the key ways. And then you also have the wage weighing on that as well. So these are two big things that are notable and important. Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe it comes in better than expected, I guess. They're not expecting much of a change, right? Inflation rate, yada, yada, yada. We do have the EIA numbers, okay. They did come out this morning stating that gasoline consumption would be lower. And that's why we saw a little bit of a pullback in crude. The key is going to be obviously is whether we can hold the lows. I mean, that's just how it works right now. Okay, still in the mist of earnings, right? We had some pre-market stuff that came out, Ballard and Wix, etc. Disney, the Saft, right? We'll see what they say about that. It's still fun. I mean, there's still enough to keep us busy, but obviously behind the curtain, there's a hell of a lot of stuff going on. And clearly, if you raise guidance, that's the best. You lower guidance, well, that's the worst. Now, what we've been seeing this earnings season is that with bad news, good action on a lot of these stocks. So it's kind of interesting to think about at this point in time. Okay. All right. Out of China, boots on the ground units. Military is wrapping up its drill. Okay. PPI in China was up 4.2% after 6.1% in June, so that's better, not as hot. 4. Who cares? I mean, they can say what, it's nice, but they can say whatever they want to say, right? Okay. So let's see what Carolyn Borden's doing here. She's the Fibonacci queen. So we had a timing and price, okay, on August 3rd to 5th, right? She doesn't tell us when the next one is, but it is hitting some fibs, Tesla. Look, we knew starting last week someone was selling, and now we know that it was Musk. No, he told us, and we believed him, and he wasn't going to do any more selling, right? I have to be speechless, right? Anyways, Amazon, we do have timing and price on August 8th to 9th. So what that means is that we could have a cycle low or a cycle high. I mean, we won't know for the next few days. But as mentioned before, we got a lot of timing cycles and price cycles coming in August for Amazon. So it's going to be all over the place. Interesting that they booted Meta, they added Meta. So that's interesting. And they booted basically Bank of America and they booted Google. Okay. So this is delivery times are not lengthening. Okay. So they say if it's at 50, that's a majority businesses reporting, right? So this is percentages. Canada is actually continues to improve in terms of the delivery time. And then you can see here that everything's kind of creeping back down again, right? Let's take a look. Now, this is the Reader's Digest version of what's going on with retail news, etc. Retail is just kicking ass. I mean, it's going to blow this up here. I mean, this is no duh. I mean, we were playing in this room so many low floats, small cap names, right? Right. And this is why. Okay, from the 52-week low, 200%, et cetera, et cetera. This is not your imagination. This is exactly what's going on. The Russell is the sweet spot right now, 3,000, for what Uzis and Measies do in terms of day trading. I mean, this is like I said, this is no brainer. And even some of these are at 52-week highs. Okay, and this is why this room is so successful, is because Spartan, the mods, we're all able to tease through what the hell's going on. I'm finding on the option side these, small cap, low float names that retail is buying. And the reason why it's retail is because of small size. We're not seeing it through the sweep side. Okay. Once again, U.S. productivity falls. This is really, 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 really important. You have to understand this. Until we get, and this is the inefficiency I think we're starting to see clearly, that people working from home are not as efficient as those who go to the office. Okay, here we go. Once again, Wall Street Journal, if I have access to it. Actually, the workaround with Wall Street Journal, well, actually that's Bloomberg. You can work around it by going to Bloomberg, Canada. Chip makers expect demand to expand beyond PCs and smartphones. I mean, I guess the question we ask, right? Have they thrown the baby out with the bathwater? I guess is the question. I don't know. That's up to Mav. He's our specialist. So this is why politicians are the spawn of the devil. Okay, here we are struggling mightily. People are suffering in these, spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on their political races. That's disgusting. $9.7 billion. Okay, more than the $4 billion for 2018 and the $9 billion for 2020. This is disgusting. All politicians, I don't care what you are, okay? Disgusting. In these times, disgusting. Disney, see what they say? Tesla faces crowded field. So the Chinese names are actually starting to do better, and we're actually going to do a little bit of a deep dive on Tesla today against the Chinese EV names, etc. Okay. Well, obviously BYD has been the top dog yet, right? I had this and I got rid of it way too soon. Well, so sad, too bad. Okay, so Wall Street Journal had an article about war games. So there was a think tank that basically did a simulation model of what would look like if China invaded against Taiwan. They would, be successful US Taiwan, but at a mighty cost, because basically they're looking at it going into Japan, all kinds of stuff. So interesting read if you have it accessible, but I mean, this is what they're doing. It's just crazy stuff. No good comes from any war. Gasoline demand, this is what I'm talking to you about earlier. EIA cuts full, and that's why crude is down, right? That shouldn't be a surprise. So a lot of people aren't going to travel, stuff like that, right? Who knew that this was an arms race with China? Tech arms race. You bet it is. Do your job. Kick ass. And looks, a lot of people are pissed about it's heavily weighted to manufacturing, but don't forget there's the offset, right? That manufacturing offset is a big deal, okay? It is a big deal for us to fundamentally grow as a nation, right? Manufacturing only is 8.3%, used to be in the 40s, okay? 40s. We've got to reclaim some of this manufacturing domestically. And the tax revenues, et cetera, people, new jobs, et cetera, will offset that. Okay, so this is what a commodity supercycle looks like. So you've got, ebbs and flows in different sectors within the commodity world. Coffee is one of those, right? Cattle's another one. That's going to be a problem, right? Poland warns of repercussions of Brussels. Well, I don't understand why this is happening, to be honest with you. But anyways, Germany plans tax changes to help households to cope with inflation. So they're basically going to raise the tax brackets. Okay. Not here in the United States. We wouldn't do such a thing. U.S. solar shipments are hit by import, yada, yada, yada. Okay, this is what the. So because the government froze the student loans, your credit scores improved dramatically. I don't get that. Okay, so here you got top 10 student loan debt, right? Okay, and then it basically says the median and the average. Shrinking U.S. cattle herd. This is why I keep telling you these ebbs and flows. Okay, drought, floods, fire, all impact certain parts of the agricultural ecosystem, which impacts certain commodity sectors. Guess what? There you go. What do we got? JMIA jumps on revenue coins. That was ugly. Also slides when coin they yeah, it's consumed price and price. See, let's see what happens. City reiterates fine. My God, even after or whatever. Okay, so now they're saying Musk buying Twitter now more likely after he sells another $7 billion worth of Tesla. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Not much going on. Everything's about CPI. You know about what happened with the ex-president. Most likely slowed inflation in July, but it's still here. Oh, yeah. Well, yes and no. All right, so let's look at the heat map here. This is the past month. Pretty good, right? I mean, transportation, shipping, oil exploration. Not a lot of red. Agriculture, right? Large cap pharma, property, staffing. Okay. In the bigger picture things are going well. Now, we saw that the oil and refiners, medical stuff, a lot of red, as you can see, but we like red because red resets things, right? This guy from Rocket in the Pocket, they keep buying this stuff. Another 12.8, $6 million went through. This is crazy stuff. For solar, okay, that was on Friday, but Monday, crazy stuff. MTW, ESPR. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Hold on a second. Let's see what on the sell side, what's going on here. Okay, inside of sales, especially with earnings, right? A lot of sales are tied to options, and those do not get looked at differently when we talk about that. Okay. So 9th, you go, EXP high, tied to option, not a lot of money though. All right, so this is fascinating. Tesla calls, puts, equally balanced, 17.6 million, 17.6 million. Q's got some nice sweeps coming in. I mentioned that yesterday. It was monster stuff coming in. Apple still continues to get the money flows. Let's see if Meta picks up as well. I'd like to see Meta start picking up too. Some of these fan names, get their jiggy going on. So we'll see what that looks like, right? Memes. I don't know why NVIDIA is a meme. Anyways, AMC both stock and options. Nice. Novavax stock and options. Nice. I mean, clean. CLNE is like $91,000. Who cares? Micron. I don't know why this is a meme. PLTR. I don't know. Gotta update this stuff, don't they? All right, Apple, DTE, Trip. Top stocks being hyped overnight. Let's take a look at the downgrades, upgrades. I love this now that Benzinga is actually giving percentage. This is why who gives a you-know-what about analysts? The vast majority of them are below 50% right. The vast majority. Here's one that's OECP, BMO Capital, 72% success rate. But he increased the price tag. Okay, that's it. 28%, who would follow someone from Stifel with a 28% success rate? I would not. Upgrades, let's see. Top dog, Wells Fargo, Michael Bloom, ETRN, Equitrans midstream, 76% success rate. Look at that. It's important to understand this. The vast majority of these analysts are wrong the vast majority of the time. They don't even have a 50%. We do have some 65%, but you know me, I like 70%. Okay. All right. Option traders start to jump aboard the rally. That's scary. The reason why it scares me is because it's retail. Usies and Yeezys. They were dragging their feet. And what did I tell you? I told you when they start getting involved, it's probably the top in the market. Yeah, not a good look. So when these guys get involved, guess what? 3 months, 6 months, not a good look. Yeah, like I say, we'll see what happens, right? Today with the CPI. The heat map's been reset, so it's neutral, nothing there. Heat map is still fine. Yeah, their breath map is also fine. All right, so let's take a look at the bonds. Yield curve is kind of steepening, 1030, right? Yields are up, sloppy choppy across the up and down in Europe and mainly down in Japan and Hong Kong. Oh, don't tell me we did this again. Yeah, it looks lovely. All right, so here's the 2.5. I mean, the reason why this is so breathtaking is because the last time we were down here was over 20 years ago. And then after that, it was 33 years ago. So this is big stuff that's going on right now. All right. Here's the 210. Once again, breathtaking, same narrative, 20. So we are on these inversions at 2 key points. I mean, guys, we haven't gone steeper than this. So I don't know what that means to tell you. I don't know what that means. Okay. These are Chinese bonds. I keep telling you they have to go lower. Here's the German ones. I'm of the inclination that we stay within this range, but we may retest this. We could actually, I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, what we're seeing right now is just crazy. Here's the dollar. It should go higher, but we'll see. Okay. And here's the Chinese renminbi, yuan, whatever you want to call it. Okay. You can see here, it continues to soften. All right, let's take a look at cryptos. This is just crazy, this price action. Take a look at commodities. Gold's down, copper's up, silver's down, natty gas and crude is down. Okay. It's all over the place. So let's see what's up. Lumber's up again, 2 days in a row. Lumber will dictate in terms of where we go forward, in terms of the commodities as a whole, but also the market. Excuse me. Coffee up, sugar, soybean, wheat, corn, copper, cocoa, lean hogs. Okay, and then live cattle is slightly down. Live cattle's been on a tear. All right, let's take a look here. This is agricultural DBA. Still holding the low, notable. Here's DBC. Same thing, holding the low, as you can see. There's natty gas. I think this is a flag formation. I think as long as we hold this double bottom here, I think we can curl up. Here's oil. It also is holding this pivot right here. Okay. I have hedges on. Here's crude. All right, you know the drill. And the reason why you know the drill is that you have to look at the 4-hour chart, and 88.15 is a really important pivot, and then you've got that 87.14 now. It continues to make higher lows, so that's a bullish setup right here. And here's XLE Energy, which is we've already back to the mean and actually extended a little bit, right? So we'll see what happens here. Let's take a look here before this bounce. Okay, so pull back right here, bounced. So you know the drill, it literally has to take out the 78.6% Fib for me to get my really excited about. All right, DAX, fine. FTSE, fine. With it, well, within a range, right? Says is trying. Let's see if we can actually hold that pivot. EFA got rebuffed here at the 100 EMA in the monthly. It's also an extension, you can see that. So let's see if we can consolidate flag and then go up. Or we're at the top of the band, right? EFA, IWM. Okay, so we are to keep pivot here with the IWM in terms. Now this is kind of scary because if we start to go up, that means our market's going to be selling off. That's simple. I shouldn't say scary, but that's what it's selling is. IWM, CQQQ. This is my bellwether, the CQQQ against these indices. Okay, so you can see here we're at a breakout point. We need to actually reclaim that. That's a bullish narrative. If it does not, that 9 times out of 10, that's because our market's selling off. So there's a lot at stake here. You can see here the SPY against the CQQQ. You can see here the Qs against the CQQQ. Okay, so like I say, what key pivots? Tesla. We know we had a cycle high per Kelvin Borden. We also did not break this downtrend line. All right, so the key here is basically this low right here is 829.48 to see if that can hold. Right? Let's see. Oh, we'll see. Right? Here you go. This is Tesla against XPEV. Fascinating, right? So Tesla has been rallying against the Chinese names, but the key point is, right? You know the drill. You can't assume something's going to break out. We're in the upper quadrant right here. Okay, this is where you look to sell Tesla against XPEV if you're in this trade. Until we actually break and start, then we can talk about the next leg up. Then you can put on your fibs, right? Okay, and then you can start talking about, now when we do these breakouts, you normally look for the 200%. Okay, so that's almost a double on this, right? I don't know. Tesla against Lee. Isn't this fascinating that Lee Auto, okay, has been stronger than XPEV, right? So anyways, you can see here where to keep pivot with Tesla. Once again, Tesla's at levels that, and we are starting to see selling coming in. Here's Tesla against NIO. So XPEV has been the weakest, and Lee and NIO have been stronger in the sense that they haven't weakened as much. Let's see what happens here, right? This has to actually go up here. There we go. So Tesla's at a critical juncture, so we have to be aware of that, right? Here's Tesla against Toyota, FSR. This is just a slow grind higher. You can be long Tesla against FSR. Here's Rivian, Tesla against Rivian. This is not a good looking. You know, life is kind of tough. Rivian's kicking your ass. Tesla, Lucid, it wants to break out. Let's see if it can. But, you know, with any technical, you can't assume that it's going to break out. That's why you sell into the pops and you wait to see if you get confirmation on the upside. This is fascinating. You know that Ford is I'm gobsmacked over Ford right now. Okay, I really, really love Ford. I think Ford is a reasonable. I have it in multiple accounts, equity as well as options. We have it in our class portfolio as well. So see how it plays out. Tesla, GM. Like I say, I mean, if Tesla's, the only way this breaks down is if Tesla's selling off hard, right? I mean, that should make them sense to everybody.
All right, Beth, I'm ready to pop on here.
Okay, dokie.
So guys, just pop that screen share up. So we got CPI data coming out in 30 seconds here, so we'll just see what happens with that. And then we'll get into it as we usually do. Keep an eye on SPY right now and VIX. Obviously, seeing some positive action here. Now looks like our 418 calls may be getting in the money. Cool. FY, here's the CPI data, guys. Awesome. Thanks DCB for posting. All right, cool. So we'll go through the SPY in a little bit, but there's your data and obviously moving positive off of it, which is sweet. We'll see if that holds up or if we get a reversal. But so far so good. I think a lot of people sold into last day's move or today into the CPI data, so that could be good. We'll have to keep an eye on tech really early on, guys. I think that's going to be the best place to be to make some nice money today. Anywho, so let's get into it, guys. If you guys are new to chat, have already done so, make sure to click that Discord link that's emailed to you. Once you guys do come into Discord, it's going to look something like this. First area to go to, guys, when you do come in, go and click on that new to chat information section. Give it a read from top to bottom, as well as a disclaimer. We're going to be going through that stuff a little bit later once we do close down the YouTube stream. But for now, that's what we're looking at. All right, so a couple things that we're looking at today, guys. A couple of things that we're looking at today, guys. Pre-market tickers on watch. Yeah, shorts are going to be in a bind today. Tesla coin, TTD, RBLX, MEGL, SSNT. Tesla, Elon Musk sheds Tesla shares valued at 6.8 billion. Stocks gapping up now and typically with the market as well. So that's notable. Coin earnings miss, EPS and revs negative 63.8%, gapping up on that. Sorry, actually gapping down. Sorry, guys, coin should be gapping down. TTD earnings beat EPS and revs year-over-year growth 34.6%. Q3 guidance slightly lower. That's gapping up. RBLX earnings miss EPS and revs year-over-year growth plus 30.2%, gapping down. RBLX MEGL slight balance after last day's large sell-off, and then SSNT gapping up on retail buying volume. All right, let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two names that we're looking at today, guys, are going to be Tesla and coin. So let's have a look at those. What a move. Yeah, nice. Our 418s are in the money. Okay, Tesla and coin. Let's have a gander, my friends. Tesla coin. All right, so Tesla, guys, pivot to the upside today is going to be this 875.71 spot. This level is able to hold. We do have room for continuation on Tesla into the, you know what I think we have continuation into the 889.95. That level breaks. 903.75 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 857.30 to 850 on the downside. That level breaks. We do have room back towards the last day low area of 830, 820. Overall on Tesla right now, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. If the pivot point can hold, we should see that continued push higher. So it looks good in that regard. Ooh. There we go. Weird. Just gonna label the pivots different colors. There you go. Okay, cool. All right, let's take a look at this coin, guys. The coin was gapping down. It's trying to push back up to flat right now. Pretty impressive move, actually. Let's see what we got going on today on it. What a move on the market, guys. Very exciting. It'll be a fun day today. Okay. $50 MA here. Some support just in case we need it. Resistance levels are labeled good. Okay, so let's take a look at coin. Oh, I have 2 levels here. Let's get rid of. Oh, that's the close price. Okay, gotcha. All right, so pivot to the upside today is going to be 85.53. Levels able to hold 93.19 to 99.79 will be tested. Unable to hold, we do have room back towards 78.82. I want to get one more closer level than that. There isn't really anything. There's this pivot right here. Actually, right on 8. Yeah, man. All right. Unable to hold the pivot of 880. Sorry, 86.50. We got room back towards 83.10, and then below that. I don't know why these levels are disappearing on you guys. Below that, we got room towards that 78.79 spot. Stop disappearing from me. Let's see. Should be there now. Okay, good. There you go. Just gonna label the pivot. We'll move on to the next. Gonna be leaning on the bullish neutral side of coin today. I think the earnings weren't as bad as people expected. Obviously, that's why it didn't get a huge sell-off. They did lower guidance, but that was expected in my opinion. And I think we can get a continued bounce on that. So we'll look for a reclaim of the pivot, any push higher on that name today. So that's the Tesla. That is coin. I might do is I might flip platforms for this morning. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Flip over this one because it's way faster. All right, TTD and RBLX. Let's take a look. So TTD gapping up, obviously after their earnings, around 63.33 a share. Let's take a look at that intraday chart. So TTD gapping up. Pivot to the upside today is going to be this 63.78 level holds. You get room towards 67.49. Above that on TTD, we do have room for continuation into the 71.52. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 60.08. That level breaks 56.12 on the downside will be tested. Overall on TTD, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold. So that is TTD. Let's take a look at the RBLX. Forty 42 pivot levels able to hold. We got room towards 42.61. That level breaks 44.50 will be tested. Unable to hold 38.59 to the 36.23 on the downside. Overall on RBLX, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side, looking for a continuation or looking for a reclaim of the pivot, a little bit of a push higher today, and we'll see what happens in that regard. So that's TTT. That's RBLX. Let's take a look at the next two names. MEGL, SSNT. So beaten down name MEGL. I'm gonna have to use the intraday levels from yesterday. But this, I played this after hours yesterday actually, and I got a pretty good little couple point move on it. So I think it makes sense to be looking at today. Might get a little bit of a bounce. This is that one that went to like $200 in whatever days after the IPO. IPO'd. I was supposed to IPO at $4. IPO'd at 60, or opened up at 60, I should say. But we'll see how it acts today. Can't see the lower end level, but maybe I can do this to see where it would be. Correct. There's no extension. At 256. So it would do a smaller extension. I would be the 612 would be the lower end level. Okay, so it was right. Crazy. All right, pivot to the upside today. 1526 level holds. 1922 will be tested. That level breaks. We got room for continuation into the 2579. Unable to hold 1175 on the downside, and then below that apparently it's got room to $6. So we'll see what happens in that regard. SSNT. Let's take a look at this one. These guys. What a friggin' move. All right, 594. At $5, pivot to the upside today. Level holds 545 to the 621 level will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 453 to 406 on the downside. Overall on SSNT, going to be leaning bullish. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point's able to hold. That is SSNT. And that is MEGL. All right, let's take a screenshot of these two. Let's move on to the SPY and the FANG. Just the data is still screwed up on this platform. That's why I haven't been using it, guys. So I don't think I'd be able to chart the SPY just yet. Yeah, it's still screwed up. Wait till it moves. Look at it on this one. Fine. So the market, what's going on with the SPY, guys? We are getting through this range break off the lows to the upside. We're into that area actually, and through it, massive level to break through on the upside, because this actually starts to signal a pretty large reversal in the market in the longer term. So we'll see what happens in that regard today. I'm trying to see if we have anything that's closer from a resistance standpoint here. All right, so we got a weekly 50 EMA we're coming into. It's gonna be a big level of resistance. 2055 or something there. $125. Let's take a look at the signature day. I'm going to make that pivot the 1740 level, which is that breakout on the daily. All right. Well, let me edit it. 417.44 pivot level is able to hold 418.97 to 419.87. Unable to hold it for pullback towards 415.94 to 413.50 on the downside. Let's see if this has got that move yet. That did. Okay, sweet. Just lagged out right now. Just do it on this one. All right, 417.45 pivot level holds. We use these levels. We got room towards 419.24. That level breaks. 421.75 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 415.72 to 413.14 area on the downside. Overall, in the SPY, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation grind higher. We got to see if it can hold that pivot point, and if it can, guys, we should be able to get that continuation push to the upside today. So that's going to be the SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Okay, Apple pivot to the upside today is going to be the 168.36 spot. Level holds 170.30. That level breaks. 171.97 will be tested. Unable to hold 166.81 to 165.66 on the downside. Going to be leaning on the bullish side of Apple today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point's able to hold, which I do believe it will be. All right, let's screenshot this. Let's move on to the next. Amazon. Amazon pivot 139.36, level holds 143.93. Unable to hold 135.37 to 131.87. Let's get the level what's a little bit higher on Amazon as well, which is right here. 146.49 above that 143 level will be the next resistance. 146.43. All right, so that's Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. All right, 235.85 pivot level holds, 242.40, unable to hold, 229.33 on the downside. Gonna be getting into that gap pretty soon on Netflix, guys. Again, I'm leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher. I like the chart. I think it looks great for continuation. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Gets into the gap, got plenty of room for continuation on the upside. It's pretty close. It's got to break through 242.40, and I believe it's like 255 would be the area. All right, let's take a look at Meta. Misprint candle there. It's annoying, but what we'll do is we'll have the daily up instead. It should be easier to see what's going on. So 177.75 pivot level holds, 183.86. Unable to hold 175.52. 171.40 on the downside. Getting bullish on that for now. And then last but not least, guys, let's take a look at Google. What the thing that is. Another name that has quite a bit of room off the lows. You held on the 190s yesterday. Yeah, but she's selling on the open. I would take some off at least. For sure, boss. All right. 119.95 pivot level holds from towards 123.17, unable to hold 117.93 downside. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. All right, let's take a look at the VIX Qs IWM. $22.52 pivot level holds. You got room towards 23.50 to 24.86. Unable to hold on the VIX. 21.19 to the 2016 level on the downside. Again, that's 22.52 as your pivot. Not leaning any particular direction on the VIX, but using it for direction on the market as we do. Let's take a look at the Qs. Pivot on the upside on the Qs, guys, is 324.17 level holds, 328.87 to 333.95. Unable to hold 317.21 to the 311.94 level on the downside will be tested. Overall, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point is able to hold. So that's the QQQ, and that's last but not least, guys. Let's take a look at the IWM. $191.46 level holds, 195.17, unable to hold 188.25 will be tested downside, leaning bullish. Neutral. right, guys, so that's the SPY, that's the FANG, those are the individual names that we're looking at today. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to South Beach while I type up the pre-market action plan. Then we'll do a quick little recap before the open and we'll be ready to go. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Okay, guys. Okay. A lot of stuff this morning. Everybody's been waiting for this number. Let's see what it did to the bond market, first of all. Okay. So you can hear me, right? Okay. So the 10 years at what? 271. All right. Down almost 9.09. That could be the lowest level we saw lower last week, actually. So I'm sorry, 271 down to 0.09. So, all right, let's see the curve, how that's changed. It was at like 50.50, which was the most we've seen in a really long time, maybe I think 10 years or more than that even. The 210 spread is 42, so still staying stubbornly high, guys. Okay, interesting. I think I would have thought it would come in a little bit more than this, but it did not yet anyway. The 1 year is paying 324, just to give you an example, and the 30-year is 295. So you can see how inverted and screwed up the curve is. All right, looking overseas, we have rates down a little bit there. 193 on the 10-year, down 0.03 in London. You know, basically down everywhere. We got the 10-year in Germany, 0.87. I mean, these rates are really, really, really low. I mean, are they low compared to a year ago? No, but that was, you know, kind of never land. You know, we were living in a dream world. These rates historically, they're puny. I mean, really. France 10-year 143. I mean, these are really, if when I took out my first mortgage, if someone would have told me that you could take out a, you know, this is where the bond market would trade down, you know, a bunch of years later, I would have said, wow, that's incredible. So these rates are really low. Spread though on the 210-year inversion is staying pretty high, and we'll see what happens. Okay. What else do we have? Let's look at commodities. So oil is dead flat. Natural gas is dead flat. Gold is up a little bit, silver up 1%, copper up 2%. Now, I think these metals could have a good day today. You know, if the economy is not slowing down as fast as people think, I'm thinking commodities might be a good place to travel into. Okay. Agricultural commodities, you know, they're trading in a really, really tight range. Lumber's above 500, but by and large, all trading at, you know, pre-war levels and staying in that super tight trading range, which is really good for, you know, business. Okay. Currency wise now, what do you think? If the interest rates go down, what happens to the dollar, guys? Okay. Dollar gets hit, right? So the dollar's down against North America. All right. It's down against the yen. It's down against the Chinese currency. It's down against the euro, and it's down against the pound. Okay, nothing special there. That's a duh moment. All right, we have crypto rallying hard here, 4% on Bitcoin. Ethereum's up 8%. Solana's up 5%. Remember, these moves are really puny compared to when you had 5% moves when Bitcoin was trading at 3 times this amount, or close to 3 times anyway. Okay. Let's look at the foreign markets. So they were kind of sort of flat when I came in this morning. What was Germany was up 18 and Britain was up 2. And now Britain's up 17 and the DAX is up 144. Okay, so they're interpreting our CPI number that, you know, it's going to affect them kind of sort of the same. I think they're wrong, but we'll see what's what. Okay, I think a lot of their CPI is dependent on Russia and not so much here. Okay, not as much, I should say. Russia, what else we have? Nikkei was down 0.5%, China down a little more than that, and Hong Kong down 2%. Okay, so these Chinese markets really stink, and they've stunk, and they're going to continue to stink because they don't care about capitalism. I mean, right? So that's that. All right. So that's the background. Let's see what we got going on today. All right. Let's see. So we got two Fed governors speaking. We'll see. It'll be interesting to what they say. Coming into today, we had a 68% chance of a 75 basis point rise in interest rates in September. That number currently is 32%. So we'll probably get a 0.5 point either way, but we'll see. All right. China, I didn't see much out of China. They stopped those war games that they had around Taiwan, but they reserve the right to resume them whenever they want. And who's going to stop them, right? So that's China. Oh, there's another thing. They found a new virus in China this morning. It's caused by some animal I never heard of. So if I could find the note, but it's some animal I never heard of. They have a new virus. They don't know if it's transmitted person to person. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Seems like China's the epicenter for these things. And it's from a shrew, S-H-R-E-W. I always thought shrew was like kind of a mean woman, but I guess it's an animal. So that's what's going on with that. Let's see what else we have. Russia, they're trying to get arms. Oh, there's your shrew. Okay, thanks, man. They're trying to get arms. They're having trouble getting new arms. And so what they're doing is they're stripping arms from one vehicle to another. Obviously, the Russian army ain't what it was supposed to be, because they wouldn't be fighting Ukraine for 6 months. Okay. But it is what it is. Okay. And we'll see what happens there. North Korea wants to send them arms. We'll see how that goes. Okay. So that's Russia. Crypto rallying on this. Now we saw a coin on bad numbers getting smacked, and look at it now, right? In Yakista. So if you were short coin and you didn't cover, you watched a green trade turn red. What else can you say? Right? Oil, flat, we discussed. The virus, we got this new one to keep an eye on. We got monkeypox to keep an eye on. And it seems the only thing that's really not, that COVID is kind of sort of, okay, this is our lives and we'll live with it. Does money come off the sideline to chase this? We're going to talk about that in a minute, twins, if that's okay, my man. Okay. So the dollar we discussed. Mr. Market yesterday was more of a, in my opinion, guys reducing risk for today's numbers. They were uncomfortable and they just reduced risk. And so that's what you had. So stuff that was high beta stuff was on the sell side. We had EV, vaccine stocks, China, high PE tech, semis, China, retail, restaurants, Bitcoin, home builders. And on the long side, you had stuff that has, basically earnings based. They're not going to get drubbed if the market was going to get smacked. Big oil and gas and material stocks and insurance stocks. Okay. So that was yesterday. It was a risk off day. People just didn't want all that risk on their sheets coming into today. And now they're kicking themselves probably, right? So that's that. All right. All right. Let's answer, before I get into the weeds here, let's talk about the big question. Does money come off the sideline to chase this rally? Okay, so here's the story. Now, most guys that are really macro-based kind of hedge fund guys, they're not very bullish on situation. Okay, and I'll get into that later. The Danny Moses of the world, that crypto guy that was just on TV. What's his name? Novogratz. Tepper thought 4,200 was the high level. We're pushing against that now. Should be interesting. So the average hedge fund that doesn't have the balls or the track record to have a bad year are in a really bad position. Okay, they're underinvested, they're underperforming, and they're watching the market leave the station and they're not on board. Okay, I don't think the economy I don't think the stock market is cheap anymore at 4,200 based on the earnings that I'm seeing. So I think these guys come in, I think they try to buy the market, and I think they do what they do best. They'll lose money when the market, says, hey, wait a minute, guys, the earnings aren't that great. Advertising is going down. Companies aren't making their numbers. And so I see this as a capitulation moment for guys who are underperforming to get involved in the market. So I think, this moment in the sun is probably the high side of a trading range. That's what I think. But I do think that these hedge funds that are underperforming are going to come in and buy the market because they have no choice. Okay, they want to, the number one rule for a hedge fund is collect the fees, not go out of business. So they can't take, now if you're a David Tepper, where you have a track record the size of your arm, if you had an off year, it wouldn't mean shit. Okay, what's his face up in Connecticut? He had a bad year last year. All right, but it doesn't matter. No one's taking money away from him because he makes money all the time. So I think what we're establishing is the top of the trading range. That's my opinion. Okay, but we'll see. So I do think there'll be capitulation, to answer your question, Twins, and that's how I see it. All right. All right, so let's move on to get in the weeds a little bit. Let's see what we have here. We'll talk about Tesla. Basically, his selling all that stock is him throwing in the towel on Twitter, in my opinion. Okay, he realizes that he's going to lose, which is what I've been saying since day one, and the stock's going to go out at the $54 number. Okay, he's going to pay top dollar. He's going to lose his ass, and that's how it goes, and he knows it. Okay, so he sold a bunch of stock. The one thing I garner out of this more than anything else is that Elon told everybody that he was through selling stock. And so what does he do? He goes out and sells stock. So as far as him saying something and you relying on it, I'd be a little careful with that, okay? Not that he should have told us, but he was very emphatic that he's not selling any more stock, and now he is selling stock. So he's a bullshit artist like everybody else out there, okay? And no one can be trusted in this game except your dog. All right, really, people lie and cheat and steal, and that's what they do. Goldman's the king of the heap. All right, and obviously Elon's no different. So he sold a bunch of stock. The most important thing that I read overnight is Micron's release, and they said they see and Bloomberg talked about it this morning, of collapsing chip demand. Now, is it because of my original? That's not true, MD. He did say he was done selling and he wouldn't sell anymore. I read it this morning in 4 different places. So I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I read it at Bloomberg. I read it at Investors Business Daily. I read it at the Business Insider. Okay, so, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, you telling me those guys are wrong? Maybe they are, but I refute what you say. Usually I agree with you. I think you're a really smart guy, but I'm reading it and I remember him saying it. And so let's move on. Okay. Let's agree to disagree. Even though, most of the stuff you're saying, I agree with 100%. All right. So let's move on. Where was I? So let's talk about this chip demand thing, okay? So Bloomberg's reporting that they see collapsing chip demand. And now I had been saying that I thought companies would no longer play this just-in-time game with semis and that they would increase their inventory. So if they, in fact, increase their inventory and they're using some of that inventory to put in their products, maybe this collapse in chip demand isn't as bad as we think. But my hunch is, and I think chip demand is the best evaluator of future GDP growth because it goes into practically anything. All right. So I think we have to keep an eye on it. Now, Micron said the biggest loser in their array of chips was for the PC, okay, and laptops and stuff like that. So, and we were seeing yesterday that the stocks that got hit were mostly consumer driven. So we'll see how that plays out. I do think the consumer driven stocks are the most vulnerable because I think the consumer feels, the average consumer feels a little bit like they're getting their pants pressed. Okay, but if the stock market does continue to rally, I think people will feel richer and they'll spend more money. We'll see how that plays out. But I am concerned about that chip stuff. That is one thing that I'm really keeping my eye on. All right. US is going to sue Google. UK can't fill finance jobs, which is, pretty interesting. So what does that tell you? That the employee is still in charge. Does that change? We'll see. Okay. Marko Kolanovic, I'll reiterate, he says, look at commodities at the expense of growth stocks. And so, I've been trading those pretty aggressively prior to him saying that, and I will continue to trade those pretty aggressively on the long side. US Builder is saying housing demand should be normalized in 23. Of course, that's obvious. CPI numbers, let's take a quick look at them. They came in 8.5% versus expectations of 8.7. It's still 8.5, guys, but it is better than expectations. And this is a very hard relief rally, and we'll see how it plays out. My hunch, like I said, it's the top of the trading range. Year over year, it came in flat versus 0.2 expectations. Core, that means it's food and energy aren't included, 5.9 versus 6.1 expectations. And core year over month over month, 0.3 versus 0.5. Okay. That's a great question, twins. I just don't know. I do see that the consumer, you got to think the average consumer is screwed. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Most parents will take from them to give to their kids. So I think back to school will be better than retail and consumer electronics. Okay. Your kids growing out of their clothes, you don't have a whole lot of choice. So we'll see how that plays out. But, a couple of guys on TV were making the argument that Walmart, if a Walmart is having a lot of trouble, then that's endemic of the average person in this country. And so I just think the average guy is, kind of screwed. All right. Even oil's come down from whatever to night. It still costs a fortune to fill your car. It still costs a fortune to fill your grocery bag. And that ain't changing. I don't think you're going to put, that back in, I don't think that's going to reverse. I really do not. I think, you establish a higher price and it stays there. Now, the wages creep up to compensate people for the less spending power, then you're back in that inflationary spiral that you were talking about. So I don't know. Okay. Okay, so anyway, that's the whole thing with that. All right, these are all really interesting things, but that's why I think we're at the top of the trading range, guys. I'm going to talk about Danny Moses tomorrow because he's the guy from The Big Short, and he had a lot to say. It was mostly negative on the market by and large. And I thought it's really important, but I don't have the time to do it. So I'm going to revisit this tomorrow, if that's okay with you guys. Let's talk about what's going on today, as opposed to this guy's, 6 month, 1 year outlook. All right. I think that makes more questions. They could be twins, they could be. He could be, it's not going to be the first time that Danny Moses is wrong. Let's look at earnings, the good ones, WK, TTD, CF, Arlo, A lot of these stocks I never heard of. CELH was good. AXON was good. Lots was merging with somebody. That stock is up on that. On the negative side, some of these are changing their directions, but Coin was on the negative side. We discussed how that flip-flopped. Wendy's was poor. Win was poor. And these stocks are barely down. Roblox was terrible. Now it's only down $2. It was down, what, 7? Sweet Green was a freaking disaster. Playboy was poor. Real was poor. No surprise there. TDW doing an offering. MIRM doing an offering. Look, I hate when the market gaps up. I love when the market gaps down because I load the boat. When it gaps up, it's a little bit harder to stand there and short the market. Okay, but I'll tell you this much, guys. I think you'll get a better price sometime during the day than buying on the opening. So, you know, keep it in your drawers and let's see how they open. Give it a chance. And I do think real companies will have you know, like legit companies versus spec companies will be more in vogue today than they have been in the last week or two. Okay, so I'm not buying anything on the opening, nothing. I will wait at least 15, 20 minutes, maybe more, to see how the rally, you know, how the rally feels. Okay, and there's no better guy to show you that than Spartan. Okay, so I'm going to hand it off to him, guys. Don't get crazy. Don't overtrade the beginning of the day. All right, it's all yours, Spartan.
All right, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's going on? So we'll do a quick little recap of this morning's stuff, and then we'll close down that YouTube stream. So if you guys are new to chat, make sure you click that Discord link that's emailed to you. Once you guys do click the link, you're going to come into chat. It's going to look like this. First area to go to when you do come in is that new to chat information section. Click on that, give it a read, and then you know, continue or go click on that, give it a read from top to bottom. We'll go through that stuff at the end once we do close down the YouTube stream. So pre-market tickers on watch, guys, a couple different things. Where the hell did I post everything? Oh, I posted it all in general mall chat. That's fine for today. Okay, so all of the main charts are posted in the pre-market section, guys. And then I posted all the, I guess, all the typed up stuff in general mall chat, but that's okay because it streams on anyways. So a couple of things that we're looking at today, guys. Tesla, Coin, TTD, RBLX, and MEGL, and SSNT. So Tesla gapping up and simply, well, most things are gapping back up and simply with the market. Elon Musk sheds Tesla shares valued at 6.8 billion. Coin earnings miss, EPS and revs here for growth negative 63.8%. Stocks gapping, I think, back up at the moment. Is it back green? It is indeed. So that's back to green there. TTD. Earnings beat EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 34.6%. Q3 guidance slightly lower. Stocks gapping up on that. RBLX, earnings miss, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 30.2%. That stock's pushing back to the upside at the moment. MEGL stock is slightly bouncing off after last day's pullback, and then SSNT gapping up on that retail buying. So let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two that we're looking at today, guys. Tesla and Coins. Let's have a look at those. Tesla pivot to the upside today. 875.71 level holds. 889.95. 903.76 above that. 913.41 will be tested. Unable to hold. We look for pullback towards 857.30. That level breaks 850 to 838.20 on the downside. Leaning bullish on Tesla. Coin pivot to the upside today is at 86.53. Level breaks 93.19 to 99.79. Unable to hold. 83.11, 79.47 downside, leading bullish there. Let's take a look at the next two names, which are TTD and RBLX, which is all through this platform now. So TTD, guys, pivot to the upside today is going to be this level here. 63.78 level hold, 67.49. That level breaks. We do have room towards that 71.50 area. Unable to hold 60.08 to 56.12 on the downside, leaning bullish on that. TTD 40.42 pivot level holds 42.61 to 44.50 breaks. We then have room all the way towards 48.31. Unable to hold 38.59 to 36.23 on the downside, leaning bullish on that name as well. With continuation off the lows. Let's take a look at the next two, MEGL and SSNT. MEGL 15.26 pivot. That level breaks 19.22 will be tested. Above that, 25.79. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 11.75 to 6.26 on the downside, maybe leaning bullish there. Looking at the spine, the fang market, guys. I'm going to type this up as I always do. SPY 417.45 pivot to the upside today. And sell the holds. Room higher into the 419.24 resistance breaks. We see the 421.75 tested. Pivot, unable to hold. Room lower into the 415.72 support breaks. We see the 413, 14 tested. Leaning bullish. Neutral, looking for it, basically a hold of the pivot on the SPY today, continuation push higher. That's what I want to see. All right, let's take a look at the spine or the FANG, guys. Apple pivot 168.36 level holds. We do have room for continuation towards 170.30 to 171.97. Unable to hold 166.61. Sure, 166.81 to 165.66. Leaning bullish on that. Amazon pivot upside today. 136.30, 139.36 level holds. 143.93, 146.43. Unable to hold 135.37, 130, 187 on the downside. Leaning bullish on that. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot to the upside today. Pivot is going to be the 235.85 level holds 242.40. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 229.33 on the downside, leaning bullish on that. Let's take a look at Meta. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the I can't see anything. Well, that's right, I did the daily. There you go. 177.75 level holds 183.86. Unable to hold 175.52, 171.40, leaning bullish on that one as well. And last but not least, guys, Google pivot 119.97 level holds 123.17, unable to hold 117.93, and also leaning bullish there. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs and IWM. VIX pivot to the downside today is 22.52, unable to hold 21.19, 2016, able to hold 23.50 to 24.86. QQQs pivot is going to be that 324.17 levels able to hold through 28.87 to 333.95. Unable to hold 317.21 through 11.94 downside. And last but not least, leaning bullish on the Qs. Last but not least, 191.46 pivot on IWM. Holds 195.17, unable to hold 188.25, leaning bullish there as well. So that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Keep an eye on tech today. I think that's probably where the best opportunities are going to be. Probably high PE tech. We'll see what happens in regards to rotation today. I'll be watching like HMOs and commodity names as well. Oil was setting up for a bounce yesterday. We'll see if it gets a little bit more continuation today, as well as some of these other commodities, and we'll kind of just go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll close down the YouTube stream, guys. If you want to pop on into chat, you can click on that free Discord link in the description of this video. Otherwise, you can go to SpartanTrading.com, sign up there for